Welcome to Ask Me When It's Over, a video series where I look back at my 30-plus year career and I share insights and experience. The series name comes from a response I would give when I was working and busy with my kids and family and all my travel, and people would say, "How do you do it?" And I'd say, "I don't know, ask me when it's over." So there's also an introduction video available with a little more background on who I am and why I'm doing this series. But in short, I'm doing it as a way to give back. There's so many people working remotely now, and you don't have a chance to sit down with a colleague with a little more experience and just ask them questions and say, "How did you do some things?" So I wanted to do this series as a way to sit down and imagine we're having a cup of coffee or we're sitting at lunch, and I'll share topics like people management and project management and organizational change, some work-life balance, and even some episodes on how to work in a regulated industry. So today's episode is setting people up to succeed, which is both an approach and a philosophy I use for both people management and project management. Some of the key steps involved in setting people up to succeed are setting clear objectives, making sure you've defined roles and responsibilities, and frankly, that you've set up an environment that is going to be effective for executing a realistic plan. Now that sounds simple, but it often isn't. There's many things that can affect your ability to do these things. So you need to understand the capabilities of the individuals you're working with, the environment they'll be working in, and some of the incentives and motivations that will affect their willingness to do the job you've been asked to do. So I think of it like a big jigsaw puzzle, where first you need to make sure what's the picture on the box. Is everyone even clear what it is you're trying to achieve? And how is it that they would know that? Don't just assume that, oh, of course they know this is what we mean. You got to be clear. What exactly are you going after? And you also have to have the roles and responsibilities clear. Like, where are the edges? What are the boundaries? Are there certain people that are going to work on certain color pieces and some people are going to work on others? And to keep that puzzle analogy going, your role as a people and a project manager is to make sure there's a flat surface for them to work from, and to make sure you've got access to all the pieces needed and that the people have the capability of putting their parts together. And then frankly, that they're even motivated to care to put it together and care what's the picture on the box. And so this involves a lot of communication, a lot of issue management and breaking down barriers, and frankly involves coaching people. So for example, you might be given a project such as developing a new product that has a very clear process and roles and responsibilities defined. But you might be given something more small and simple, like investigating something that's gone wrong. And maybe there's a slight process to follow, but you have to assemble the people and you have to run figuring it out. And you might be dealing with people that are tense and scared because they're not sure where the blame's going to land and they might be defensive. So it could be any range of project or initiative that you're involved in. But once it's clear what it is you're trying to solve and what it is your objective is, and if you define what the roles and responsibilities are, then your job as a people or project manager is to set people up to execute successfully. So that often sounds easier than it is because you're never dealing with a perfect situation. You very rarely can control who are the people that are going to be involved and what resources you have. But you try to define what you can and do the best you can with what you've got in front of you. And I like to think of it as everyone involved is an end user, meaning they're all sitting at their desk. They've got something they need to do. Well, how are they supposed to know what exactly is expected of them, how to do it, and are they capable and do they have the resources needed to get it done? So if you think of everyone involved as an end user, it helps you think through what it is you can do as a people and project manager to set them up to succeed. You can't just assume, well, of course, they've read the procedure. They should know this is their role. Or they understand we've done this before. They should know this is their role. No, don't assume. You need to check, ask, confirm, because things shift. And is everything they need to do within their power or influence to do? Because some of it might not be. And that's where you as a people or project manager have to go break down barriers, deal with issues. And then there might be things affecting the people's motivation to do what's been asked of them. You know, what do you know of their past efforts? Were there times where they got in trouble or they got blamed for something that went wrong? And are they worried that's going to happen again? And are they wrong? So what are you doing to set up an environment where they feel safe, letting you know if they're experiencing issues or challenges. They may not feel safe, and there may be things you can do about that. So these foundational elements needed to set people up to succeed are simple, but they're not easy. You need to set clear objectives within what you can and what your scope is. You need to communicate clearly that puzzle picture on the box so that everyone knows what you're trying to achieve. And then you need to be clear with roles and responsibilities, and then make sure people are set up to successfully execute the part that they're assigned. You need to look at the responsibilities and make sure they've understood them. Check, don't just assume that they should know, and check that they've got the capabilities and resources. There might be things you need to do. And then you need to check your own style differences and make sure you're communicating well and understand people's motivation so that you're really setting them up to succeed. So for today's activity, think about a past project or initiative that you were involved in. Now, not everyone's a people manager, but most everyone's been involved in a project where you had to work with at least a couple other people to get something done. And think about one you were kind of in charge of driving, or if you are a people manager, think about a project or initiative that your team is assigned to do or was assigned to do. I want you to think about a past example so you can reflect back on some of these elements. So now take a moment and think about both the positive and constructive responses to these things in relation to that project you're picturing. So was it clear what it was you were set out to succeed in doing? And how was it that everyone was made aware of that? Was it communicated? Was it in meetings? Was it in a procedure? How was it everyone was supposed to know what the objective was, what the puzzle picture was? And were there clear edges? Were the roles and responsibilities defined? Did people know what it was they were supposed to do in the project? And how was it they were supposed to know? Again, was it communicated? Did anyone check with them? Was it your role to check with anybody? And if you were on the project, did anyone check with you? Were there confusions? And then what were the capabilities and resources needed to get it done? And did everyone have what they needed? Was there a software system? Was it something new for a process? Or were there workload issues where they were capable of doing it, they just didn't have time? And then were there things impacting team members' motivation and incentives towards getting the project done? Now look back at the results, the things you've jotted down. Are there things you would do differently if you had it to do over again? And are there some lessons you can take away from that you'll apply in the next project you try? So that's it for this episode. Please leave a comment and let me know if you have questions or ideas for future topics. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to be notified of future episodes. And we'll see you next time on Ask Me When It's Over.